Welcome to the Fantasy Champions Fantasy Football Podcast. Here's your host, Morgan Colby and Rick Lemon.
What's going on, Fantasy Champs? My name is Morgan Colby. I got Rick Lemon with me as always. What's poppin', Rick? How was your weekend, my guy?
Could have been better, Took a lot of L's this week, not gonna lie, especially compared to week one.
I think I went 5 of 7.
Football. What did you say? You won 5 of 7?
Yeah, so it's the reverse of what happened last week.
I think we switched. Because what did you go in week 1?
I won 2 weeks out of my 7.
Okay, I did a little bit better
and
than you, though.
My Tank City, bro.
I won 3 weeks.
My Tank City is rolling 0-2.
Dude, I'm tanking in the league and I freaking won. That's why because I have like Corey Davis.
That's wild.
And I have Lamar in that league, unfortunately.
That is wild.
So I'm not gonna bench Lamar because I don't want to just throw games, but I won.
Well, I had a good week. I feel like this is bad for me, but I feel like every season I win and lose with my favorite team, which is the Patriots.
That's
not good.
Yeah, not great.
Not good for me. But I won, and my team won, so I'm happy about that. It was a very interesting, eventful week. I feel like there was a lot of comebacks in the 1 o'clock window, but the 1 o'clock window was extremely boring.
Yeah. Well,
so I guess it was
exciting.
I don't know. I guess it was exciting.
Boring at first, but
it was boring for the first 3 quarters, and the comebacks.
Yeah.
I think
comebacks kind of saved it.
The 4 o'clock window is great, but I enjoyed my Sunday. I had a good time, except for that freaking Bears game. That was bad. But anyway, week 3 is upon us. Excuse me. And we are going to we're jumping into mid-season form here. I don't know if week 3 you can be in mid-season form, but we're getting there.
We're trying.
But we're going to give you some waiver wire ads that you can make this week to help your fantasy rosters have success in the next couple weeks. So I'll try to run you through those, and we're going to introduce a new segment called Real or Fake, and talk about some players who had some big performances, some players who had some not so big performances, and discuss whether or not you should continue moving forward with those players. Before we do that, check out our website, fantasychampions.com. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your podcasting platforms, please share the podcast with your friends and leave a review. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell for notifications, like and comment down below any questions you may have. I am currently watching, because I didn't get to watch it yesterday, the Jacksonville Jaguars and Indianapolis Colts football game on my side here. So
watching football while recording a football podcast.
Yeah,
that's what we like to see.
That's how we do it. So like I said, we are going to bring you the week 3 waiver wire ads in just 1 second, but we'll start with our segment, Real or Fake.
A new segment.
Yeah, a new segment. So we'll try to do this expeditiously, but I'm gonna run through some of these situations, Rick, and I want you to give me. We'll start quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and go front to back.
Okay.
But quickly, just give me your thoughts on whether the player will continue to perform at the level that they performed at this week. And you can rely on them being a QB1 or running back 1 or wide receiver 1 for your team, or if that's not going to be the case, and then on the flippity flip, the players who did not do so well, are they going to continue not doing too well? So
okay.
We'll sound the panic alarm. Should we be freaking out here?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I like it.
So anyway, first on the quarterbacks list that I see right now is Tua Tagovailoa has 40.86 points in week 2 and 4-point touchdown leagues. Real or fake, my guy?
Fake for throwing 60 or 6 touchdowns. He's not getting that kind of production again. In 6-point touchdown leagues, he had a 50-point week. So insane week. But he's got Buffalo this upcoming week. I don't think he's going to do that again. Long term, though, I think he could be a good streamer option week-to-week basis. And you could consider starting him in most weeks, but he's not going to be, I think, a top 3 fantasy quarterback. I think that's not happening.
My Tua club over here of thinking he's a complete garbage can of a quarterback is getting thinner and thinner by the week, and I don't know. Maybe I should just leave at this point.
Should just roll Tide.
Yeah, I guess. I'm a big Alabama guy too, so it's because I rooted for Tua for too many years.
And he's on the Dolphins.
Yeah, he's on the Dolphins, and I can't stand that. But anyway, yeah, no, there's a couple of problems with Tua. No rushing floor for him, so I don't see him having these big 40-point weeks on a regular basis. I could see him right around 20. He kind of, like you remember when Jimmy Garoppolo was having big weeks, which he probably could have big weeks now that Trey Lance is out, but where he would get like 30 plus fantasy points and have a really good game, and he was a good streaming option. That's what Tua is to me. Like, I think he's going to be a solid streaming option. I know, like, it would be good to, and we'll probably bring him up on the waiver wire portion of our show, so we won't get into that, but it's good to roster him and have him ready to go in case.
I think he's going to be better than what Garoppolo was, though, because statistically, I think he will be.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't think he's going to blow your lineup up and create.
He's not like a must start every week.
Yeah. He's not a must start every week. It's going to be a per week basis. But anyway, Carson Wentz again, 2 weeks now. He's had 30 plus and 28 now for the Washington football team. Real or fake on this one?
He's another one. I'm gonna say fake based on 28 and 29, but he's a streamable guy. Like Jacksonville, Detroit, he puts up 28, 29 points.
Fair enough.
They throw the ball a lot, and he's going to have good fantasy weeks. Like if he has another good matchup, I'm playing him absolutely without a second thought. But once he starts playing real defenses, like I know Jacksonville shut out the Colts this week, but I think that was more about the Colts than Jacksonville. And Detroit's the offense is really, really good. I think their offense is, and we talked about in the offseason how Detroit's offense has improved, but their defense is not that great. So I'm a little out on Wentz for long-term plays. But
yeah, me too.
Again, similar to Tua, good matchup. I'm starting him with full confidence.
Yeah. I think it's fake too. If you picked him up last week and you started him, I know there's going to be some people, and there's a guy in our home league that will definitely feel this way. But Carson Wentz had a big week. He's coming off 2 big weeks now, and so people are going to start thinking, I can start this guy on a week to week. I think he's a great trash time quarterback, and he'll have some really good weeks against some good matchups. But right now, I would say Carson Wentz is a fake. Joe Flacco is obviously a fake, 26 points this week.
We don't even have to talk about that.
Jared Goff, fake, 26 points as well.
Yeah.
And we had some bounce back games from Matt Stafford, which is wonderful. That's great. But let's take a look at some bust quarterbacks. I know a lot of people had faith in our guy, Jameis the Famous Winston. He had 10 points this week. Real or fake?
I think it's actually fake, considering that before the game, I think Jay Glazer tweeted that Winston was like in enormous pain, and he didn't practice all week, but he went out there and tried his best. Went up against the top 10 defense.
That's what you want to hear.
I know, but Tampa's defense is legit. I ranked Winston outside of my top 20 quarterbacks going into this week, so I had zero faith Winston was going to do anything. And he didn't have Kamara either. Let's see what he does against bad defenses going forward. I think Tampa's defense is, with Todd Bowles at the helm, is legit still.
It's the main focus.
And Winston was playing injured. So, I mean, if Winston stinks against Carolina and Minnesota next couple weeks, and he's got Seattle, like he's got some good matchups. So I'm going to say fake. I think Winston will have some good weeks coming up.
Okay, and then the final quarterback that I wanted to bring up is Tom Brady, who I tweeted earlier this week. Sit him. And,
another guy,
I don't know how you have the entire wide receiver room out in Wednesday's practice, but that's what happened. And I wonder who Tom Brady was even throwing to, because I don't even think he was there on Wednesday either. So maybe it was just an off day for everybody. But Tom Brady has 9 points against the New Orleans Saints. He usually struggles against the Saints anyway, especially in the regular season. Is this a real or fake for Tom Brady?
100% fake, just because of what we said. And he struggled against Dallas too. And I think Dave Portnoy, who I will rarely ever talk about on this show, but he said, and he gets a lot of stuff wrong, but he did say something that caught my eye, and I was like, yeah, I do agree
Emergency
with that.
press conference.
Yeah, but before the year even started, this was before week 1. He said
Yeah,
Brady,
yeah.
he thinks he's going to get off to a really slow start
Yeah.
because of everything that's going on. And he said Rodgers too, which is also true. Those guys will get off to really slow starts, but he thinks as the season goes on, they're going to figure it out and they're going to get better. And I think that's true with Brady. And it's not because he's fallen off a cliff, because that last touchdown he threw to Rashad Perriman was a
Boom.
dime.
It was a laser, dude.
He didn't have Mike Evans for half the game. He didn't have Chris Godwin. He didn't have Julio Jones. Like, once all those guys comes back and he's not playing the Saints in New Orleans, which he has historically been horrible in, that was his first win against the Saints in the regular season as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. So once those guys comes back, Brady's going to be just fine. He's going to put up big fantasy numbers. He's got Green Bay this week, which is kind of tough, but then after that, it looks pretty easy from that point on the season.
I said Tom Brady was the last quarterback, but I just noticed another one. Russell Wilson had 12 points. Starting off the season really, really, really slowly. Are we sounding the panic alarm on Russell Wilson here?
As someone who loves Russ, I'm sounding it a little bit. I think Judy getting hurt in the first quarter definitely hurt. The offense struggled a lot worse once Judy went out. But it's more about, like, Nathaniel Hackett is an absolute clown of a coach. I'm not going to lie. I have been so unimpressed with him and how that team runs their offense. I think, as the season goes on, they gel better together. Jerry Jeudy hopefully comes back and is healthy. They'll figure things out, but it's definitely something that I'm nervous about. I'm not ready to say the truth right now, and that he's going to do this every week, but I'm definitely nervous about him. I'm probably not starting him. Like, I'd keep him on my bench, but I'm probably not starting Russell Wilson next week.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm going to stick right in the middle here. There's a real sense for me that this could not be a good situation for Russell Wilson, which is surprising. But it's only 2 weeks, so I think you just have to practice some patience here and wait.
Who would you rather have rest of the season, Russell Wilson or Tom Brady?
Russ, probably.
I might lean Brady.
Okay. Let's move to the running back position and quickly rattle off some of these guys. Pollard had 19 points, running back 3 on the week in PPR formats. Is this real or fake for Tony Pollard?
Fake RB3, but real in, I think, the sense of
He's
the
getting
offense.
Opportunity.
Considering, look at how they're using Zeke compared to Pollard. I know Zeke had the higher snap percentage, but it's all on the ground.
Yeah.
He doesn't really do much in the air, while Pollard had 7 targets this week. And Pollard will still get like the 10 carries. So he's real as in, like, I think he could be a week-to-week flex option for you. And it's truly a split backfield. It's kind of like the Packers with Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon. So I think it's real in that sense, but fake and RB3. He's not going to be a top 3 running back.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. Real in exactly what you said. Real in the sense that there is starting to become more of a split share in the backfield between him and Pollard, and between Zeke and Pollard, and Pollard is starting to get more pass catching work than Zeke. So definitely a real sense of him starting to get more of an expanded role, which is kind of surprising to me, at least, because I don't think he is any better or worse than Zeke. So
no.
But anyway, I mean, he's a good little fantasy asset to have. I think there'll be weeks where he does finish top 3 in fantasy football or top 5. But I don't think it's going to happen regularly. It might happen like 1 or 2 more times on the season. Probably should expect more like 10 points in a game.
Totally off top, or not, well, kind of a little off topic, but because we knew this guy is good. But I just want to quickly say DeAndre Swift had 17 fantasy points this week, playing on a snap count, and he only had 7 touches. He had 17 points on 7 touches.
The bro is going to be a top 5 running back in fantasy football this year.
100%.
Easily. James Robinson has had 2 really good weeks. This isn't a real or fake for his score this week of 15 points, but does he continue to be? Are you getting a real or fake sense that James Robinson is going to continue with the RB1 role rest of season?
I think eventually I wouldn't be surprised if ETN takes it, but I don't think it's going to happen right away because they're doing well. Robinson, I know only 2.7 yards per carry, but he had a touchdown again. And as long as the offense is doing fine and Robinson is doing at least okay, I feel like he's going to be the guy as it continues. So eventually, I think ETN will take over, but I don't know when, and it is concerning. So if you had for us who drafted ETN in so many leagues, unfortunately. But yeah, I think James Robinson is real for what he is. Again, not really like an RB1, but because his pass game is limited. He only has 4 targets in those
PPR
first 2 games.
He's not. He's going to be like maybe a mid-range RB2.
Yeah, but in those half PPR, if you still play standard, he's a good running back option.
So on the flip side of that, with Travis Etienne, are you panicking on him and feeling like he's could possibly be a bust, or do you feel like that the role that he has is just early season figuring things out and that it will expand?
I saw somebody on Twitter say that he's droppable.
Okay.
And he had he had like 30,000 followers on Twitter. I'm not going to say names, but yeah, and said he's droppable in redraft leagues. And I definitely wouldn't go that far. I know he's disappointed, and I think he's going to be not the player that I was hoping he was. And I'm probably not, in some leagues I have him in some dynasty leagues. I'm not starting him from this point on week to week.
Yeah.
But I think, you hold on to him, be patient. I think eventually, as the season goes on, he should get more work. He got more work technically this week. He just wasn't nearly as efficient on the ground with it.
Yeah.
But if he was, if he had a good week on the ground, he would have had double-digit fantasy points and been okay. So hold on to ETN. I don't think his ceiling is as high as you wanted it to be, but could still be a solid running back.
Okay. I had a guy that I scrolled way down on the list for by the name of Rashad Penny, who totaled 1.5 fantasy points. Kenneth Walker was back this week, so obviously that had some situational stuff involved in it. But is this like a real situation for Rashad Penny where he's just going to get 1.5 points and we're going to get fricked, or is this just a bad game for him?
Yeah, remember how I said a lot this summer that I didn't want any Seahawks players because I thought that offense was going to be trash.
Yeah.
This is kind of how I'm feeling about Penny. Like, I'm kind of out on him with Kenneth Walker back, and Walker played a decent amount too. I think he split. Oh, he didn't split, but he did play a decent amount. And the team was losing the whole game. This week, Penny might have a decent week against Atlanta. And maybe Detroit too, but then rest of the season, I'm kind of out on Penny, because of the offense, and he's not even the lead back. He's not that pass catching back either.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that concern me with him.
Okay. Yeah. Cam Akers, panic alarm.
Yeah. I will say
he did have a lot of opportunity.
He did have a lot of opportunity. He had 17 touches, but he wasn't even that good in the touches. Henderson looked better.
Honestly,
when he was out there.
Cam Akers looks like a shell.
Yeah, he does. And it's like anymore. He did have more opportunities than Henderson, but again, like you said, looks like a shell. And it's weird because it's like Robinson looks like the same player coming off the same injury, and then Akers just doesn't. So it's tough, but yeah, I'm kind of out on Akers too.
Yeah, I think it's real.
I don't know if you can even trade him at this point though, because
I think his bad performances are a real sign of things to come.
Yeah, I'm with you, but again, can you even trade him? Like, is a team going to offer you?
At this point, your best shot is to hold him, and
just let him rot on your bench.
Yeah.
I guess.
Jonathan Taylor had 7 points. That's a fake for me. That's definitely not going to continue happening. I wouldn't be concerned at all. One guy that I would be concerned about is Ezekiel Elliott. He now in PPR leagues has had 2 5-point games. Pollard's role is obviously expanding a little bit. That is real. And I think that this is it. This is it for Ezekiel Elliott. I love him. Real life football, he's going to be great. But for the Dallas Cowboys, if there's any opportunity that you can use to sell Ezekiel Elliott on a name basis where you're like, okay, it's Zeke, I would do it.
I mean, this is the point in running backs' careers. Is he in year 6, year 7?
Yeah, where it just starts falling
It
apart.
starts to go downhill.
All right. And then the last guy that I was going to mention, Chase Edmonds, week 1. A lot of people's, quote, my guy, loved him in the 8th, 9th round.
I liked him.
He, in the first week, had 16 touches. This week, he had, I think it was 9. So he had a decreased role. He got 1 carry in the first half. He had 8 touches, sorry. So basically less. And Mostert got a majority of the run in the game. So I don't know what's happening with the Miami Dolphins in terms of their running game. Obviously, maybe they don't like what Edmonds has been doing. I have no idea, but we'll see. At this point, I'm practicing patience with Chase Edmonds. Like, I don't like at this point. There's no reason to be like, oh my god, he didn't do well.
Yeah,
or
I mean, so the way I look at it is, you shouldn't have crazy high expectations for him anyway.
Yeah, right.
I think it's fake, but when he, returns to the starting back role, I'm not expecting 20-point weeks out of Chase Edmonds. You're expecting just solid weeks. I think Mostert, like it's going to be a San Francisco type offense. They're going to use different backs, and I think Mostert, historically gets hurt all the time.
Yeah. So
I'm not stressed about it too much. It does concern me a little bit, but I think Edmonds will overall be fine.
Okay. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Obviously, they're not going to get 40 points a game, but I think they're very real. At least at minimum top 15 wide receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I would say, is real. But the main guy,
I gotta say, dude, I didn't draft Amon-Ra like in any leagues, including best ball, and I wish I did. That's the one guy that looks like
he's
I'm gonna
be. He might be quote this year's Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. Garrett Wilson did have 30 points for the New York Jets. Is that real or fake? Quickly.
Fake in terms of 30 points, without a doubt. But I think potentially real as a guy that you could start in your flex week to week. But 30 points, definitely not. That's probably going to be the best he gets all year.
Christian Kirk, wide receiver 1, rest of the season. Real or fake?
Wide receiver 1's a bit of a hot take, but I'm going to say real. I was in on Kirk in the offseason. And it's exactly kind of what I was when I said Kirk could be good. It was all the things that has been playing out, and it's really based off Trevor Lawrence, and Doug Peterson in the offense. Like, if Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback, Christian Kirk's going to be a good fantasy wide receiver because he's the wide receiver 1 on that team.
No,
and he without a doubt is.
Yeah, I think there has been some good things for Christian Kirk. I need to see it more to say that it's real. I think he's a good wide receiver for you in fantasy football. So like mid-range, low-end wide receiver 2, definitely.
I think that's more realistic.
But to say at this point, like wide receiver 1 is kind of like you said.
No, I wouldn't go that far yet. But yeah, he's definitely like he's a wide receiver 2.
Right. Another rookie wide receiver, Drake London, had 24 fantasy points. 2 weeks in a friggin' row now, I have went on TikTok and I've posted something in hatred of the Atlanta Falcons. And for some reason, they keep having fantasy assets, not named Kyle Pitts, have success. But I'm going to say the Atlanta Falcons blow, and that this Drake London game, he's going to have a lot of target share. Things are going to happen. There's going to be weeks like this, but I don't think he can sustain it. So I'm going to say it's fake.
I'm not going to lie, dude. I might be on the real train.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I mean, he's a talented player, and he's getting. They're not targeting Kyle Pitts, like they're targeting Drake London. They're treating him like he's the only guy in the offense. He got 12 targets. If that continues, even if the offense blows, like he's gonna be at least decent in PPR. I feel like, and I don't know. I don't like the offense either, but if you're a top 10 pick wide receiver getting 2 straight weeks now where he's been decent. Like he's a top 15 receiver through 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to be that rest of the season, but
quickly two more guys that kind of boomed this week that we can mention. Nelson Aguilar had 23 points. He was a wide receiver 1 this week as well. Quickly, real or fake?
So fake.
Yeah, that's fake. Curtis Samuel has had 2 good weeks in a row. He's had a solid target share. I would practice patience with Curtis Samuel, but if this continue happening for the next couple of weeks, this could be real.
Yeah, I'm gonna say real, but again, I think he'll come back down to earth. Like, I don't think he's getting 20 points a week, but
Yeah.
real in the sense that he has real fantasy value. And it's probably like a flex play week to week.
Okay. I am scrolling through some bust guys. Juju Smith-Schuster at 4 points. Obviously, there are a lot of things going on with the Kansas City passing attack. Real or fake for Juju Smith-Schuster?
I think he's gonna be fake, but I'm kind of out on him, if that makes sense. Because I think the Chiefs, Mahomes said wide receiver by committee, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be weeks where Juju gets his 15, 16 fantasy points, and then there's weeks where he's going to get 3, and he's just not like the boom type of player where it's going to be worth it. Like a guy like Mike Williams, like he'll go get 2 touchdowns and make 50-yard catches, so his boom weeks are 30-point weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Juju's boom weeks are going to be monster weeks, so
yeah.
I'm kind of out on
he's the slot receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's not playing outside. He's not playing that role.
Right.
And
he's the Sammy Watkins role.
I'm curious to see where things start going because, like, they're gonna find a receiver that works. Whether it's Sky Moore, Hardman, MVS, like they're gonna find a receiver that they're gonna end up targeting more than everyone else. You can't continue to just spread it. So I would, if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, they're gonna find a guy. We still don't know who that is. But I mean, Hardman outscored Juju this week. So there's that.
Yeah.
The only other guy that I was going to mention is Devontae Adams, who had 9 points this week. I'm going to say that's fake, considering his massive target share on a week-to-week basis. So he should
that's
be
fake.
All right, I'm going to bring into the tight ends really quickly because we got to get to the waiver wire portion of our show. Tyler Higbee has been getting a lot of target share in the first 2 weeks of the season. Do we think that what he's doing is real or fake?
I'm gonna say fake. He does this every year, and then by week 5 he'll have like 2 targets.
Pat Freiermuth, real or fake?
You might have been right about
1000%
Freiermuth.
Real.
I'm gonna say real. Yeah, even though Trubisky is absolutely dog water.
Yeah.
Freiermuth is getting a lot of targets, and he's not putting up big numbers, but for tight ends, you get 12 points a week. I'm okay with that. So he's definitely real. He's a low-end tight end one.
A couple guys that busted this week. TJ Hawkinson, 5 points. Real or fake on him?
I'm kind of at the real. I'm kind of out on Hawk.
He had 7 points last week, 5 points this week.
The year, and
he's getting 7 points a game. It's just his targets have been like garbage.
Yeah, if Amon-Ra is going to be the guy though, and then once Jameson Williams
comes back, tight ends who get 7 targets are absurd.
I'm saying real in the sense of like he is what he is. Which is still probably could be a startable tight end on a week-to-week basis, but he's not. He's not going to be in that tier that you might have hoped when you drafted him.
I guess I'm going to say it's fake. Kyle Pitts had 3.9 points, and he's had 2 very bad weeks in a row. The last tight end we'll bring up here is I am going to say that that's fake only because it's Kyle Pitts, and I think he's the best option unless Drake London actually is absurd.
It's
but I would say it's fake for now.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's fake too, but did you hear Arthur Smith post game?
Oh God, was he hyping?
He said, "I don't care about your fantasy points," because they asked about Kyle Pitts' involvement. He said, "I don't care about your stupid fantasy points. I'm trying to win," or something like that. And then there was also a stat saying that Kyle Pitts has been used heavily in blocking situations this year, and they're like trying to make him like an all-around tight end. Like he's been blocking a lot this year. And 1 in every 4 pass plays they had him blocking, and not running routes.
Yeah.
So. Very interesting how they're using him. I'm gonna say it's fake though, because again, it is Kyle Pitts, and I think eventually he's gonna have good weeks, but it's a little nervous.
We gotta get to
3rd round.
We gotta get to our waiver wire rankings, but I have a PSA for Arthur Smith. You can shove it right up your butt. Do you know who pays your checks? The people that watch your stupid game. So those stupid fantasy football people that you don't care about, if they all left and vanished, no one would watch your games. Nobody. Besides those idiots who say, "Rise up." Shut up, Arthur Smith. You're not going to have a job at the end of the year.
Yeah,
Throw it to Kyle
dude.
Pitts.
Ugh.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get to the waiver wire show. A portion of the show, and we have
The
about
good thing is the waiver wire starting, I think, now is going to be kind of gross every week.
So we will speed up the real or fake segment in the future. But for this particular part, like I said last week, we're going to give you one guy that we really like on either side. Last week, Rick had first dibs on all the players, so I'm going to take first dibs this week.
Go ahead.
So I main quarterback that I would pick up on the week. At this point, I don't really know that there's a quarterback that I would say, hey, this guy had a really good week. Hold on a second. I'm pulling up stats from my brain.
I was going to say, some of the guys at the list that's on this list, I feel like there could be other guys that will be available. This isn't everybody.
They're all streaming options, but in some leagues, I would say I'm not sure in what percentage of leagues this guy is owned. I'm not really sure about that, but it's Trevor Lawrence is probably, if you wanted a early waiver wire pickup for the season that has opportunity to turn into a superstar quarterback and win fantasy weeks for you, that has a chance to do that, I think it would be Trevor Lawrence. But if you're just looking for a stream option, and I think that's what I'm not going to take a second guy. I'm going to let Rick go, but Trevor Lawrence would be the guy that I would pick up this week.
Yeah, that's a good one. If Carson Wentz or Tua is available in your league, I think you should go after one of those guys. Outside of that, dude, it's looking real slim, real slim.
Yeah.
I would say Trevor, Tua, or Carson Wentz. If none of those guys are available and you really need a deep play, maybe look at. Hold on, before I just talk out of my mouth, let me make sure he had a good week. Maybe look at Mariota just because of his rushing.
Just because of the rushing.
Yeah, in week 1 he had 72 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, and then this week he had 16 rushing yards, which isn't a lot, but he had 6 carries, so could have had more. Still had 17 fantasy points despite not really having a great game. So he's playing Seattle this week too. So if you're in a deeper option, look Mariota.
Okay, all right. That's your quarterbacks. Really, that was lightning.
Yeah.
See you later, quarterbacks. For the running back position, I think there's several guys that you could think about, but there's no one. Obviously, I think for this week, this is not a guy I'm taking. I'm just bringing him up now. As we approach like week 5 or 6 of the season, just keep an eye on Brian Robinson. At some point, if he's owned in your league, somebody's going to drop him. Like, it's just only a matter of time. I don't know what he's going to look like, but I'd rather take a shot on him. And really, at this point, there's no running backs that I really believe in rest of season. But the one guy that I was going to take is by the name of Eno Benjamin. It's an interesting one. He hasn't scored a whole ton of fantasy points, but it seems like he's getting pass catching opportunity from the Arizona Cardinals. He had 4 targets in week 1, 4 targets in week 2, 3 catches for 33 yards in week 1, 3 catches for 20 yards in week 2. He also saw an increase in work and snap percentage on the ground. So he's gotten up to 43% snap percentage, and you have old man James Conner over there who gets hurt every 40 minutes. He didn't look great Sunday either, but
he got hurt. Yeah,
I would say that Eno Benjamin is a decent add to your team, who could come in and be a great handcuff as well as a decent guy to take a look at in case of James Conner regressing to a point where they want to start splitting the role again, and he could turn into Arizona's Chase Edmonds from last year. So
absolutely, yeah.
I think that Eno Benjamin is a good pickup, and I would take him.
I love that one, bro. I like it. Yeah, I'm gonna say the running backs are pretty gross at this point. Good luck if you're trying to add one to just plug and play. I'm gonna say Tyron Davis-Price. It's pretty gross. Everybody thought it was gonna be Jordan Manson who was gonna come in there and be the guy because he was active week 1 and Davis-Price wasn't. But Davis-Price was actually the second RB. And knowing Kyle Shanahan, I would not be surprised at all if Tyron Davis-Price starts producing, I would pick him up. Definitely don't play him, but pick him up, keep him on your bench. He had 14 carries this week against Seattle, so only 3 fantasy points because he wasn't great and he didn't have any receiving. But now with Garoppolo in, you could see the running backs get more involved in goal line work and receiving work as well, because Garoppolo will probably dump it off. So I could see Tyron Davis-Price potentially having some value as just a stash if you really need a running back. Maybe Raheem Mostert, but I think, you never know. And he's not available as nearly as many leagues. Same thing with Khalil Herbert. I think he looked good, but he's playing in a kind of a crappy offense, and he's owned in most leagues as well. So
okay. How much waiver budget would you put on Tyrion Davis-Price?
I probably wouldn't even put $1.
Okay. All right. I would agree with Eno Benjamin because I think he's probably available and you can get him for free this week. As far as like the rest of the running backs, Raheem Mostert, Darrell Williams, some of those guys, like I'm not super duper excited about.
I'm not. If James Conner misses any time, Darrell Williams isn't he's a good pickup.
Yeah, he'll probably get a lot of the ground
plug and play. But
we each get 2 wide receivers. So I'll go first, you go, and then I'll pick another one, you pick another one. Okay. That way we talk about multiple wide receivers and not just 2, because there seems to be a lot of them. I absolutely love Jacoby Myers in PPR leagues. He will not provide you touchdowns, but he's going to give you a base floor. Like I would not be surprised if he continues at a pace of 7 to 8 catches a game, with 80 yards. Like that's going to happen every single week. He's Mac Jones's safety blanket. He's owned in 50% of leagues right now. He has a decent strength of schedule for the playoffs and the rest of the season. So I would take I was going to say Jahan Dotson because his name was right next to it. I would take Jacoby Myers right now. He provide, like I said, that base floor is really good with the receptions and the yardage. He's not going to provide you touchdowns, but I think if you want to flex and you have 2 flexes or 3 flexes in your league and you need another guy, Myers is that guy.
Yeah, that's a good one. Are you just saying that to let me get the number 1 guy?
Yes, I'll let you have the number 1 guy.
My guy, Garrett Wilson, 30 points this week.
Which I honestly don't know. He's owned in 46% of leagues. By the way, I would put up a good share of money for Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I would too. Like Myers is a good one. He should absolutely be owned.
35 to 40% of your waiver budget.
Yeah, he should be owned in all PPR leagues.
I would be in the same place for Garrett Wilson, but anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm gonna say Garrett Wilson though, because obviously everybody who's been listening to me or followed me knows how much I love Garrett Wilson. Even pre-draft, he was my wide receiver 1. And then of course he went on the Jets. You were like, I just love all Jets players, but I loved Garrett Wilson beforehand.
Yeah.
All right, I've been on the Garrett Wilson train for a long time, and he's shown out. Even in week 1, he only had 9 fantasy points, but he led the team in targets with 8. And then week 2, gets 30 fantasy points, 14 targets, and he's already through 2 weeks. We talked about this in the offseason. It was one of the things you didn't like about Elijah Moore, and I think I should have been more on that train. Is will Garrett Wilson overtake a lot? Like, who's the wide receiver 1 on that team? Through 2 weeks, Garrett Wilson has taken over Elijah Moore. Like, he is the wide receiver 1. And even in week 1, Elijah Moore had 7 targets. Garrett Wilson had 8. And then week 2, Elijah Moore 5 targets. Garrett Wilson has 14. Nobody else on the Jets even had 4 receptions, and Garrett Wilson had 8. So he was the guy. He was the go-to guy that they were looking for on almost every play. And Darren Orlovsky, who has his pants off for Garrett Wilson, but he was even saying, like, he was open on almost every single play. He was getting open. They couldn't cover him one-on-one at all.
Yeah.
So it's impressive. If he's available in your leagues, you should absolutely go after him. He could be this year's like rookie wide receiver that has a big season.
Yeah. I don't know about the situation with the New York Jets. I don't think they're a good football team. So I do think that Garrett Wilson could have a very, very good season and provide wide receiver 2 numbers, but I would temper expectations for what.
He's not getting. If you think he's getting 30 a week,
like I said, I would do the same amount. So I would do the same amount of waiver budget on him as I do Jacoby Myers, but I do think Jacoby Myers probably has a better floor on a week-to-week basis.
Like Wilson definitely has.
Like Garrett Wilson has a big week, and then there'll be weeks where he just completely vanishes.
Whereas 5 points.
I think Myers is going to get 7 catches a week. The second guy that I would take is Jahan Dotson. I'm concerned about his role a little bit. in terms of how much target share he gets in the first 2 weeks. He's only had 10 targets in 2 games. So, and he's averaging like 4 catches. So he's doing a good job with the target share he's getting. He's caught 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks. I don't like chasing touchdown production, because like Devin Duvernay is a great example of that this week. Last week he had 2 touchdowns. This week he didn't have any, and he didn't really produce too much.
Technically, had a kickoff return touchdown.
Oh, that's true. So if you do the kickoff return stuff, you got that.
Points, yeah.
But anyway, so Jahan Dotson in PPR has had 18 and 17 points in the first 2 weeks of the season here. He had 88% snap percentage in week 1, 99% in week 2. So they're clearly putting him on the field, wanting to get him the ball. If Curtis Samuel goes down in any capacity, getting hurt, Dotson's role increases dramatically. So I would do same amount of waiver budget on Jahan Dotson as I would Wilson and Myers, which is around 40%. And I would pick him up this week. Owned in 51% of the league, so if you didn't get him last week, chances are you probably don't have a chance at him this week. But if he's available in any league, go pick him up.
I agree. I think those 3 were the clear top 3. And then the next guy is kind of not in the same tier.
Yeah.
But I would consider picking him up, and not to go off this list, but it's Russell Gage. And the reason because of that is just the Buccaneers wide receiver group is so banged up. Mike Evans, we didn't talk about it, but he is suspended for the next game. Godwin is probably going to be out another like 2 or 3 weeks.
So if you need to start.
So if you need to start, plug and play Russell Gage, I think. And he had 6 targets and could have had more in a really defensive battle. I think he led the team in catches and targets, especially when Evans went out. So against Green Bay and Kansas City and Atlanta in the next 3 weeks could be more high-scoring games. I think Russell Gage is a good plug-and-play. Doesn't have the long-term value of those other guys, but I think next couple of weeks you're looking at, especially in PPR leagues, double-digit fantasy point leagues.
Okay. All right. Let's each pick one fat tight end.
Okay.
This happens every year.
Yep.
And
this is every year.
I would say, I don't know what his own percentage is because he's not on this list, but I know multiple leagues that I'm in, he's been available. So I don't know if that's just a mistake or whatever, but I would do Tyler Higbee.
Sure.
Rick earlier in the show referenced that he doesn't think that Tyler Higbee is going to continue this, but and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with him. Early in the season, though, he's been targeted a lot. 11 targets in week 1 against Buffalo, 9 targets against Atlanta in week 2. He didn't provide a ton of fantasy upside, but 8 and 14 points when you're talking about a tight end is really good. And if you're looking for a tight end off the waiver wire, I think Higbee is the guy to go with.
Yeah. Fair enough. I don't know if this guy's available in your league, but if he is, go get Gerald Everett. He's been the clear second or third option in the Chargers offense. And he's been pretty impressive. He had 10 targets this past week. That was partly due without because Keenan Allen was out, but even when Keenan Allen gets back, he's going to be a good red zone guy. And then a shot in the dark flyer who's almost 100% available in your league is so gross, and I can't believe I'm saying his name because I've always hated this player, but Evan Ingram. 8 targets this week on 7 receptions for Trevor Lawrence and that Jaguars offense.
What did you do week 1?
He wasn't great. Yeah. he had 6 fantasy points, which for a tight end, that's a floor play. He's gonna get targeted though. That's kind of the thing. I don't know how great he's gonna be, but he's gonna get some targets.
Okay, we did decently to end the show.
Yeah.
A normal size show. We got a lot more content to get you this week. Buy, sell, start, sits, and also tomorrow a Thursday night preview of the Thursday night football game between the Pittsburgh Steelers Browns. We'll see you later, guys. Bye.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Champions podcast. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and follow us on Twitter @TheFFChamps.